Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked on Spartans Nation. How on earth are we doing on this either Thursday night, Friday during the day, your weekend, whatever it is that you're listening? Hey, nonetheless, thank you so much for making Locked on Spartans your first listen every single day. Once again, for the second day in a row, it's not just me on the show. Over here, I've got a dapper gentleman. He goes by Graham Nelson. He's the former host of the Message Board podcast. And Graham, this is crazy. This is your third time on the show. The first two times were after miserable losses. What's it like being on here before we start having fun? Is this weird as for you as it is for me? This is odd.
Yeah,
strange.
Yeah, it is. I was actually thinking about this earlier today. It's like before the prep was watch the game, then just immediately react to it. And just so happens that the games were terrible.
Horrible.
And so it was super easy to react. Now I don't know what to do. It's just I had a pretty decent day. It was fine. I feel pretty good. My son went to sleep pretty easily tonight. So things are looking up.
I'm very uncomfortable. I'm a very routine person. Something about this doesn't sit right with me because we're going to go through all a bunch of superlatives, player of the year all the way to the quote, "This gave me hope for the future" moment of the year. But before that, two things, please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, whether it's on your podcasting platform, whether it's right here on YouTube. Please subscribe. That'd be awesome. Also, number two, lockedonspartans@gmail.com if you ever want to hit us up. Graham, like I said, you used to host a podcast. So let me just ask you this right now before getting into the superlatives. What was it like? All the drugs, the sex, the fame, the money. What was it just too overwhelming for you to continue podcasting, or what got you out of the game?
Yeah, it was all of that.
Okay.
My wife, she got upset with all the line of women at the door. In all reality, just came down to a time thing. I picked up the hobby legitimately as a hobby as I was in between jobs that are during COVID. I was one of the unfortunate individuals who was laid off, from their job during COVID. And so I kind of picked it up the hobby, and in all reality, I love doing it. This is why I love jumping on with you. And I may or may not get back into it at a certain time, but this time it would be significantly more thought out in terms of what the plan was, because it was just essentially me talking with my buddies on a podcast, which is fine. Sure. And it's great, but there was just no direction to it. I learned a lot, had a ton of fun, but I just kind of wanted to take a step back once I got the new job, get involved, make sure everything was set up there. Yeah. And I might go back to it. We'll see, but with a significantly different direction. Also, I named it the Message Board, which was the intent of it was kind of to be a joke.
Okay.
But then it started it just has such a negative connotation that I think people they would either see it or listen to it and be like, what? What do you mean the Message Board? This doesn't make any sense.
Just plugged in. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not plugged in. I know nothing.
Why not?
It was more just about getting the ultimate goal at the time was to get people who liked talking about sports, who want to talk about sports, who weren't connected, just to get them to come on and be guests, similar to what I'm doing with you, just give them a platform. And I still think it's a relatively good idea, but it just needs to be a little bit more thought out.
Well, speaking of thought out, Graham, let's just get right to the heavy hitter. We're not going to build up to the biggest award of the year. And I know every single player is watching right now. We're just going to get right to MSU Player of the Year for this basketball season. Now, I've lost sleep thinking about who I'm going to name for it because, okay, on a real note, here's the thing. Last year, very easy. Okay, Aaron Henry. Year before that, very easy. Cassius Winston. Year before that, very easy. Cassius Winston again. Then before that, Miles Bridges. Before that, probably Miles Bridges. And before that, okay, Denzel Valentine. It has been a pretty straightforward MSU Player of the Year for quite some time now. But you can make an argument for a few of these guys, right? Gabe Brown, AJ Hogarth. Hey, Tyson Walker had enough good moments. Marcus Bingham, I know he's got a nice cult following out there. So I'll throw it to you first. I'll quit just rambling. Do you just have one at the top of your head? It's oh yeah, of course it's this guy.
I don't want to say, of course. it's kind of a tough way to put it. But I mean, I would say
Sure
the player of the year in my mind is Gabe Brown. And
Okay.
I know there was a stretch in there, wasn't shooting the ball very well. But for the most part, when Gabe Brown played well, as he went, Michigan State went for the most part, right? There was Rutgers' game, kind of an admiration. But the fact, I mean, he led the team in scoring. Defensively, he was pretty good. He was, I don't want to say the most consistent, but like, maybe was the most consistent.
I think he was, though, which speaks to this team, really. I mean, when I think about it. So it's not necessarily a compliment, but to him it could be, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know he's the best player on the team, but I think if you had to give an award for that, it would be him. And just because like everyone else was, you could make an argument for AJ Hogard or Max Christie sometimes, or even there was times towards the end of the year, Marcus Bingham was probably the best player of the year, and Joey Hauser at times. I know people don't love to say that, but Joey Hauser at times could have been playing. But I mean, as far as like consistency throughout the year, he probably was, which is a little bit, I don't want to say sad, because he's still a really good player, and I really, really like him. But it's just, like you said, it's kind of sums up how the season went.
Yeah, and I don't think it's like recency bias either, but like it did kind of solidify for me that the end of his year was nice, right? Like in his last 9 games, 8 of them were in double figures. I think he got his 3-point percentage back up to 40% in that stretch of 9 games. And then, that one game he didn't score in double figures. It's because he was putting Johnny Davis in a sarcophagus for the entire game in the Big Ten tournament. So like that kind of solidifies it for me right there. But it's just not as runaway as it would have been like in years past. Like Aaron Henry, like no one was a close second to him last year. Like here, AJ Hogard, like I'll hear the arguments for a lot of these guys. Hell, I'll even hear an argument for Joey Hauser just for his performance against Davidson, just to get us to the second round of the tournament. Like that's how kind of open I am to the idea of a close second, if not first place guy. So I'm not going to shame anyone.
I think with Gabe Brown, the one thing that you could always point to, and like he might have been the only one outside of Jaden Akins, but they're different because they're spot minutes for Jaden. But who, like, you never questioned his effort ever, not one time. There was other times when players, you're like, either you don't know what you're doing, which is why you're not playing hard enough, or you just aren't playing hard enough. With him, he was playing hard, even if he was not shooting the ball well or not playing that well. The effort was there all the time, in my opinion. So
and I'll miss that too. And like, I mean, if anything, to a fault, like he was a little too wound up in some games. And I go all the way back to like the Champions Classic against Kansas, and it's like, okay, he's playing at 250 miles an hour right now, and not necessarily in a good way, but hey, I'd rather see him just going, too hard out there than it's kind of lackadaisical and taking some games off. But that's a great way of putting it. That you never question anything, and it's what you wanted to see out of senior captain, right? Like I think what fell short from this team is that you never had the guy that would grab someone by the jersey, and I think like us MSU fans like romanticize about that, just because that's all we've known the last 2+ decades under Izzo is at least 1 or 2, or if not 3 players are that get in your face guy. And for the second year in a row, like this team didn't really have it, but everything short of that, like I think Gabe Brown exemplified pretty well out there. I mean, just for how he played his effort and
I mean he's a phenomenal lead by example guy. I can only imagine he's as well liked in the locker room. Is he a fiery leader? Obviously not. Is he gonna like you said, grab someone by the jersey? Probably not. I also don't think that majority of kids or people these are really like that these days. And I don't necessarily think that's an awful thing. Because there's plenty of different ways to lead, and just because you're a yeller and a screamer doesn't make you a great leader. Just because you're not a yeller and a screamer doesn't make you a great leader at all. I think it just has to do with, in my personal opinion, it has to do with more with the relationship that you build. And my assumption is he has great relationships with his teammates, and he was able to, really bring them along. And it showed towards the end of the year when they started to play better, right?
Yeah, right.
It's just you wish you could have gotten that a little bit earlier.
You know what? That's a great segue to what we're going to go to next, because the next segment is all emotional roller coaster. We're going to go lowest moment as a fan that we had this season, but also, hey, we're going to end the segment on highest moment as a fan. Like we're going to go down, but dip our way, or I guess skyrocket our way back up here in a hot second. But Graham, I'm sorry, I got to send you to the bench here. If you're watching on YouTube, that makes a lot of sense. I just clicked off of Graham. He's not on the screen anymore. But if you're listening to the podcast, hey, you're not going to avoid this because I still got to talk about Built Bar. That's right. It's Built Bar, baby. We've been talking about this fantastic protein bar for quite some time. Says right here that say it's as good as a candy bar. I'm not going to say that because I don't lie, and I like you too much to lie to you. It tastes way better than a candy bar. That's right. Look, just go find a candy bar in your house, throw it away, and then get some Built Bar. Get something that's wrapped in 100% real chocolate, something that's soft, something that's chewy, a protein bar that tastes like what it actually says on the wrapper. It's not like you're biting into your old-fashioned protein bar and, oh my God, there's just sawdust everywhere. Like, what's happened? No. They treat your taste buds right. They treat your body right. Each Built Bar has about 130 calories, just 4 grams of sugar, just 4 grams of net carbs, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. You deserve it. Your taste buds deserve it. And your wallet deserves this promo code. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Locked15 at Built.com. When you go to Built.com, smash in promo code Locked15, and that gets you 15% off your order. One more time, that's promo code Locked15 for 15% off at Built.com. And Graham, before getting back to you, thank you for your patience, by the way. Just want to thank you all for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Graham, when were you most depressed this season? That's our next category here. Lowest moment as a fan, and they're probably both when you were on the show before, right? I mean,
yes. Before we get into that, that was like one of the most impressive live reads I've ever, just to witness you in action.
Appreciate that. That's right.
Absolutely
I'm
incredible.
A company man. I'm a company man. I gotta hawk the Built Bars, which are they slap. They slap.
I'll buy some. Using Locked15, right?
Using Locked15. 15% off your order.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote this down and it just so happens the time when I was at the lowest, it was the night I was on the show last, the Iowa blowout. When they got absolutely, it looked like there was nothing positive in sight coming the rest of the year. They looked so bad, so lethargic, couldn't care less, couldn't defend, couldn't shoot, didn't want to be there. Everything that you can think of that was negative happened in that game. In probably the most frustrating thing. And second time I'm coming back to this, but effort just wasn't there. I'm feeling myself sinking down right now, just thinking about that game, being so down. I want to go back and listen to our podcast and just hear our voices of just complete defeat.
Two green and white Eeyores just sharing a podcast together. Yeah, it must have been an electric listen. I'm sure it was cathartic for a lot of people. Yeah, that's a great one though, God, because mine and I it was the Illinois game, because for the second time in 10 days, MSU was gifted the fact that, oh my God, a star player is out. Not just a star player, but Curbelo. Okay, am I using the term star player kind of liberally there? Yeah,
at the time.
Yeah, the idea of Curbelo was out, but also Coburn was out too. And for the second time, because it happened against Northwestern at home, they had who was it, Nance, or I forgot who they had out. Regardless, MSU loses that game. They're gifted 2 injuries against Illinois, and then they lose. They lost, and that's still kind of when we had Big Ten title dreams too. Which seems naive in hindsight, but regardless, that's when I realized this isn't just a team that's not going to win the Big Ten title. This is a team that I'm starting to get a little kind of very worried about. Oh no. So I did what the kids call go through it after that game. I did not handle that like a well-adjusted adult, because I'm not one. I did not handle that in a healthy way, because I'm not healthy. So that's probably the time I was down the worst this year.
Yeah, I want to what you just said is that was naive of us to think we were in for the Big Ten. Rethink about that.
I know.
After that, they went for a stretch. They obviously went through a terrible, terrible stretch. But the Big Ten champion was Wisconsin, who we beat twice.
Frauds.
And who are garbage.
Frauds. Yeah.
I have no idea how they won the Big Ten. So it's say that's the naive. At the time, it wasn't. The entire Big Ten is fraud this year.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I have a take that I've been sitting on, actually, is that MSU is the last real Big Ten champion, because this year, you have Illinois and Wisconsin splitting it. Okay. Both of them flame out immediately in the Big Ten tournament. Okay, so you go to last year. Well, who won? It was the team that didn't even win the most conference games that season in Michigan. Complete Mickey Mouse here. We can just cross that off. So you got to go back to when the last real champion was of the Big Ten, and that was your Michigan State Spartans. That's the agenda that I'm trying to push into the offseason here. And I think there's enough juice behind that. I don't know.
We should put a banner on the banner that says last real Big Ten title.
Yes. And
the
pregame video, it's the last graphic you see, 8 Final Fours under Tom Izzo, 3-peat. Also, boo, last reigning real Big Ten conference winner, because, and then you can just throw your little disclaimers or asterisks in there about what has happened to the last 3 teams that claim a Big Ten title.
I think you're onto something here. Maybe we should push this out to Illinois and Michigan and get their opinions, because that fan base online
they'll take it in stride. Yeah. they'll understand the joke. They'll play along 100%, and it'll be fine. It'll just be a great time. Any other low moments you want to mention before we pick the mood back up, or have you had enough of being in a bad mood in your time on this podcast?
A very, very low moment. 58 seconds left against Duke, when you just knew it was it's done. It's over.
For me, it was a step back 3, but I wasn't going to mention it.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you really knew it. You really knew. But at that time, I think that put them up 4, right? Step back 3, I think. And so there is still a little bit of life, but I think it was 58 seconds was I think they took the 7-point lead then, and then it was just oh, okay, this is real. It's over. Now, I don't think any one of us went into the game expecting to win that game, but
no.
When you're up with 2 minutes to go, you have the lead with 2 minutes to go. That hurt. And then also I'm just spewing negative things. Northwestern loss, because that was the first sign of here we go. Are you kidding me? And kind of what you talk about, and then that backed up by the Illinois loss. Man alive, now you're getting me. You're leading me down to that.
Oh no, because also with the Northwestern loss too, MSU was kind of walking a tightrope, were they not? They barely beat Minnesota. Even the Northwestern game on the road was a little dicey. I know that on paper we beat High Point by 13 points. That was a little scary at times. So it was finally okay, the Walenda act is over. Are we really this bad, or what? Which I think it ended up fine.
They are. Michigan State was exactly, if we're honest with ourselves and truly objective, they are exactly what we you truly thought they would be at the beginning of the year.
Yes,
a team that could be good, a team that could be bad, going to make the tournament. We'll see what happens.
Them being ranked the first team outside of the AP top 25 in the preseason poll, bang on. That is probably the most apt place you could have put in a team in the preseason. Yep. And sure, the whole rise of getting in the top 10, this is obviously why it hurts, because we saw that whole thing happen, and oh my God, in the battle for Atlantis, we look okay.
Yeah.
Things are looking good. Actually, you know what? Let's just get right to it right now, because this could bleed into this topic. Highest moment as a fan of the year. What was just the pure jubilation for you? What okay, so as low as you were for the Northwestern game, where Duke takes the lead, what's the opposite side of the pendulum there?
Yeah, so there's 2 things. One is looking back to where I was at that moment, and that was the Wisconsin road win, the absolute manhandling of Wisconsin on the road. That's because great. That at the time you're oh man, we got something for real. You know what I mean? Something real is here.
I know.
Even though we just spent 30 seconds talking about how fraudulent Wisconsin was, but that's not the point. Let's just act we didn't say that.
At the time, you didn't know how fraudulent they were. At the time, It felt real to me.
Right. And then the Big Ten tourney, because it's you could just see it.
That's mine.
You know what I mean? You could see it, and you could feel it. Okay, this team figured something out, and maybe it was just we just need to play harder. Maybe that's all it was. But those are probably the 2 moments that I was man, this is why I love Michigan State basketball. This is why I love what Tom Izzo does. This is why people say the stuff they do about Tom Izzo, the positive stuff. Because he for whatever reason, he just figures it out.
I know. It seemed like he was squarely just back on his BS heading into March. Like, okay, kind of fizzled out at the end of the year. We had a good win against Purdue, which I got. It's like that's in my top 5 for highest moments of the fan. That's obvious last second shot against a Purdue team. And if you won, you essentially got your way into the tournament because it was looking just like kind of barely dicey there, but that was the nail in the tournament coffin, which was great. I can't sit here and not talk about a wide receiver dribbling the clock out against the preseason number 6 team in the nation in Michigan at the end of January. I was also like, now this is me going on a selfish tangent here, but I was down in Chicago for my buddy's 30th birthday party at a dart bar, drinking Miller Lite at a clip unknown to mankind. Like, vibes were never higher in this body of yours truly over here. So like that is a fond memory that I've forgotten bits and pieces of. But yeah, it was like, that was great. Borderline
like the greatest day of your life. Like
it was up there. Yeah, I think my wife is still awake, so I'll keep it quiet. But absolutely, it was. It was so much fun. It was great. Yeah. So, it was great. And also like, and now this is niche. Like this is probably like number 5 in my top 5 list. But something about that Loyola game at Battle for Atlantis had me feeling like, okay, it won't be that bad this year. Last year was really bad. Last year sucked. This was terrible. But like, looked decent against Kansas, but still, that's not a win. But you beat a good Loyola team, and then parlayed into the UConn game the day after. It's like, hey, I'll be able to like smile, watch Michigan State basketball this year. Yeah, maybe more than just 3 times. So like that was pretty cool too.
That was a fun tournament because at that time it was such like you gave you like really really good hope, or just kind of cemented what we had kind of thought going into the season. Like this team could be pretty good.
Right.
And plus it's just a fun time. I mean, watching basketball on back-to-back days is so much fun.
It's awesome. It's great. And like you're at Thanksgiving, like, and if you're in a Thanksgiving setting where, conversation isn't flowing, or it's not a, family see all the time, so it's choppy. Like you got that to talk about in the background, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, hey, what's going on in the state game? Like, oh, they're making a 7-point comeback late in the game to beat UConn. So
yeah, and Julius Marble scoring like 12 points in the last 2 minutes.
Casual.
Why
just
not?
Casual.
Yeah.
Something light. We're going to get to takes here in a little bit, Graham. Like, take of the year. Now, we're going to take this any way possible. Either our best take that we absolutely nailed, or our worst take, some that we would absolutely want to take back. We got all sorts of that, but Graham, I got to just wave by to you right now really quick because I got to talk to the fine people about BetOnline.net. Woo! That's right. After months of playing, college basketball has determined the top teams for the Final Four and will determine this year's national champion this coming week. BetOnline.net is your number 1 source for all your sports betting needs and sports info. For all the latest odds, contests, and player props, you name it, BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports and your latest sports developments, including, podcasts and reviews for all the leagues this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information and needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. So head to the website today. Use your mobile device. Learn more about the trends in action at BetOnline, where the game starts. Graham, we're back, baby, and we got to get some takes off our chest. Now, you were saying before we started recording that you just had scintillating takes. Like you were just like, I know you're a hothead. Like you just go off the cuff completely all the time. You're borderline erratic. What's like, do you have any takes that are either A, just funny to look back on because they were dead wrong, which I got one of those right here, or B, do you want to like bat flip any takes and be like, yeah, I nailed that?
No, because these are like, I wouldn't even consider these takes, but I would just say they're more like where I was wrong and where I was right. You know what I mean? Like Perfect. Less takey than anything. So like, I'll start with where I was wrong. AJ Hoggard, okay. I was wrong. I thought the guy was going to need to leave the program.
Hand up. I'm right with you. I'm right with you. Yeah, that's one thing I've written down. So we just cross that off.
Yeah. So, I mean, and just like his improvement, what he did towards the end of the year was absolutely, I mean, what he did to Purdue, even though in a loss in the Big Ten tournament game, was absolutely incredible. I legitimately thought, as I mentioned, like I thought he was going to have to leave the program because I just didn't think he could play at this level. Boy, was I wrong, because he's going to be an all Big Ten type player next year.
It's kind of the future,
without question. Yeah. And maybe with the best backup point guard the Big Ten's ever seen, like as a backup,
right.
Or a wing player. Do you have any, or would you like me to go where I was right?
I just want to add something on that AJ Hogarth thing too, and it's just like I don't think I was like wrong about this. I just didn't know he had it in him, but like he has some dog in him, and I had no idea until like I think it was maybe the Indiana home game this year where like I start to see me as like, oh, he hasn't stopped talking to these people yet. Like he is doing it to them, and he's letting them know about it, which like I absolutely love. So like for once again, like us State fans that romanticize like having a junkyard Rottweiler dog in there, like that's him. That's our guy. Like there he is.
Yeah,
perfect. You missed one.
People, they're begging and clamoring for the, grab someone by the shirt or that kind of attitude. Like that's your dude. Now, I would also, there was also plenty of times when he was barking at his teammates when I thought, in my maybe uneducated opinion, that he was the one who made the mistake.
So nonsense. Come on.
If we can just balance that out a little bit, that would be great, because I know I played sports a very, very long time ago. But like if someone was yelling at me and they were the ones screwing up, I would not appreciate that very much. But
that's tough luck.
I digress. Anyway, I mean, but again, like super wrong about him, super excited about his future. He's going to work, and he's going to improve that jump shot. Because the form it's not great, but it's not awful. It can be worked with. So but that definitely wrong on him. I'll go back even for you want to talk about a terrible take. This is like 3 years in the making. At one point I said Rocket Watts was going to be the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Okay. I can't hate that. Yeah.
I mean, you can, because he doesn't play in the Big Ten anymore.
There's still time left in his career. There's still time left.
I guess he's gonna have a fifth year. That dude, like, there's a chance he ends up at Minnesota in year 5, scoring like 30 a game. So
on 42 shots, yeah, right.
Maybe I'm gonna hold on to this one. Actually,
I'll buy that stock. Actually, it's probably like 2 cents per share, but I'll truckload some money in there. Why not? Let's go. Because hey, I've had bad takes. Okay, so one right now in front of me, like I don't think it was like anything that crazy, but at some point, just like how nonchalantly, like I just said, like, okay, yeah, Max Christie's going to be your freshman Big Ten Player of the Year, like because at one point he won like 5 of the 7 Freshman of the Week awards that were available, and then
it might have been the worst Big Ten freshman class like ever, but that's not a hot take, man.
I know, it's just like something I had to share. It's just like, hey, remember when, it's kind of like going back to the Wisconsin game on the road. Like, hey, remember that? Remember how great we felt, and remember how like nothing really actually came from that at all. This season, it's like, hey, remember when we talked about Max Christie just being a shoo-in for Big Ten Freshman of the Year? But hey, listen, I will caveat with this: love the kid. I think he's got a good future here. I think he's got all the tools. He just needs a little bit more energy in the legs, which is understandable. Playing 30 minutes a night as a freshman is a lot, so yada yada yada. I like Max Christie, but that's one.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, and this may be. I said I don't come with takes. My Twitter handle is @GrahamD14.
All right, let me write that down.
Okay. You can DM me.
Okay.
And I will give you my address.
Okay.
If you don't like Max Christie and do not think he is going to be the next great Michigan State Spartan, you can come to my house and fight me.
Okay. That's not even a take. That's a threat, which I like even more. You know what? Next year, when we do the show, we're going to do Threat of the Year, and that's the front runner right there. Love that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not traveling to fight you. You can come here.
No. Yeah, you can come catch these hands on my porch.
When I say fight, we'll sit on the 2 rocking chairs that I have in the patio and have a nice civil conversation about it.
Yeah, we'll share a beer. Yeah, I got some more Miller Lite that I can share with you guys. Yeah, that's
But he showed so much this year, and everyone know, like, we don't need to get into and like, he needs to put on weight. Yeah, he needs to get stronger. Like, no,
of course.
No shit. Everyone knows that, right?
Yeah.
Sorry for cussing, but
That's fine.
Everything you can see it all, and if you can't see it, that's your problem, not anyone else's.
Yeah,
so
right on.
I'll stand on. I will fall on that mountain, and you can record this. You can do whatever you want. In next year, if he's not playing that well, bring it back up to me, and I'll still fight for him.
Yeah, let's go.
There you go.
Graham comes on the podcast to do two things. One is play my therapist, which we're having a good time today. He doesn't have to do that. Number two, pick some fights. Start making some fight cards. I love that, baby. Let's go. Love this niche that you've carved out here. That's what I'm talking about. Grant, when were you right this year? Talk to me about the times you were right. Let's pimp out some of these statements, these hot takes that you nailed.
Again, this is very, very lukewarm.
Okay.
But at the beginning of the year, like during the Kansas game, when everyone was freaking out, I kept saying like this team's going to be pretty good, and like
look at you go.
You could see it, and like they were pretty good, right, by all standards, and we're great.
I would say so. Yeah,
they're pretty good. Again, that's a lukewarm take there, but and the other thing
will be fine.
Yeah. That's my, like I told you before the show, like I'm Sweden. I'm like in the middle on everything. And so,
sure.
but like, that's for me to say like, hey, they're gonna be pretty good. That's kind of that's me raising my voice. That's me going like Max Christie defense mechanism here. And the other thing, like, I've been saying this for 2 years now. The little backstory, and I think I mentioned this before, but I lived in Milwaukee for 10 years. I watched Joey Hauser play at Marquette.
Okay.
Live a number of times.
Gotcha.
And when he transferred, I tried, like, my Twitter following is so limited, but I jump in conversations here and there, whatever.
Okay.
I tried to tell people, like, you need to calm your expectations. This guy is going to, like, he's a really, really, really good third option.
Gotcha.
Like,
okay.
From the get-go. Now, that being said, he can be a really, really good third option. And at the beginning of the year, I kept going, like, he's a good player. Joey Hauser is good. He is needed on this team to be good. And I think I was right with that. Joey Hauser, specifically February on, was a very, very good and integral part of the basketball team. And if you got a full season of Joey Hauser February to the end of the year, every Michigan State person would be extremely happy with that.
Yeah. And I was with his last one. And actually I didn't even have that written down, and that's the most obvious one that I was pretty wrong on. At the time, like, okay, I was right because he wasn't playing well, but like, oh my goodness gracious, Joey Hauser can punch me in the face whenever he wants because he turned things around. Needless to say, am I thinking too much about the Davidson game? No, I don't actually think I am, because like he had moments in that home stretch of the year where it's like, hey, yeah, this is the Joey Hauser that Graham said that we would get. This is what I'm talking about, baby. Well, so yeah, look at us go.
I mean, he was making shots, playing. Like, obviously, he's got his limitations defensively, but like he's not pros,
though. Yeah,
right.
He's trying his best.
Yeah, and like he's
only gets you so far.
For his athletic limitations, he's still a really good rebounder, and he started to play hard. And the thing that I love to see him is there seemed to be, like, towards the end of the year, there was that catch and shoot. Like, if he was getting it, it was going up. And you got to the point when he shot it, you're like, your expectation was that was going in. Where the first half of his career with Michigan State, the expectation is he's missing that.
Yeah. Right on. Just really quick, I just want to talk about like the one thing that I said, right? And it wasn't even this year. It was in the off season. I just want to say that my stock's looking good in my Jaden Akins is going to be a better recruit for Michigan State than Imani Bates is. And that's what I said, that when Imani was still committed to this team. This wasn't me going sour grapes and saying, screw the kid, we don't need him anyway. Like, no. That's how much I love Jaden Akins and his film as a high school player. There's a lot of time left. Imani can turn this thing around and put up 28 and 11 next year. I don't think he will, but like I think that we all saw the year that Imani Bates had.
Yep.
Yikes! Got quasi sent home for like a month and a half there, and then Jaden Akins. I joke about it, but I'm also serious about it. Like, he's the most hyped up 3.8 per point player that MSU has ever seen ever. Like, everyone loves this kid's game. Everyone sees nothing but a great future in front of him. So like. I'm just saying that stock is looking pretty good, as crazy as that sounded back in the day. There was maybe like a one or two or five beers behind that take when I said it, but like I woke up and I was like, no, I'm digging my feet in that sand. I'm not gonna. I'm doubling down on that one. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it turned out well.
So far.
So far. I mean, with Jaden Akins, it's so. like, you hear Izzo and other coaches talk about, like, specifically when Hauser wasn't playing well, like, he does a lot of little things that you guys don't see.
Sure.
Like Jaden Akins does a lot of little things and you see him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
right.
The offensive rebounding, the defense, the stuff that, like, the loose balls, the tip, like, and then his, like, big time shot making. It's you all see it, and it's an absolute blast to watch. Plus, he just seems like a really good kid. So,
right,
could be off. I could be wrong, but
just a rat bastard. Yeah, I think it was you that said it. Actually, is it seems like he really has a good understanding of, like, okay, when he has to take matters into his own hands, which for a freshman in a spot role, very rare. But when the time is there, he takes advantage of it and puts up those big shots. And also, well, on the contrary, like, he knows his role in the team at all times. And also, well, it's going to have an uptick next year.
Yep.
Well, one could think, and actually, God, this funnels so greatly into our final topic, but I had no good name for this category. So this is the quote, "This gave me hope for the future," end quote, moment of the year. Like, is there something that happened in a game or a game as a whole that you thought, like, things are just, like, not really that great this year, but next year, I'm starting to look forward to that next year. Like, is there anything that pops up into your head? Because there's one distinct one that pops into my head, but if you're ready to just fire it off, go for it, man.
I want to hear yours first. I don't have a specific moment.
It's a strange one. It's a really strange one. And it's because it came in a loss, and it came in the loss to Purdue in the Big Ten tournament, but it was just seeing AJ Hoggard in the second half and him just kind of just being just, like, big, energy, and be like, all right, fine. I'll just do it myself. Like, I'll just get it done. Like, I'll go through the lane. I'll work this pick and roll really well. I will get it done in the paint. Like, fine. No one else here wants to do it. Let's go. Let's do it. And he was pretty successful at it. Now, of course, they didn't get the win because they dug themselves a pretty big hole. But, like, I was like, oh my God, like, this is going to be our leader next year. Like, love that agent. So, like, that's mine. It oddly enough came in a loss, but hey, at the end of the year, and that was like the climax of seeing the growth of AJ Hoggard being like, oh yeah, he's ready. This is our guy. This is a Michigan State point guard if I've ever seen one.
That's the kind of, as you were talking and asking the question, that's kind of like the thing that popped up into my head is, like, you have your point guard in Michigan State. If they don't have a point guard, they're never good, right? If they don't have a lead point guard, they're not good. I shouldn't say that. They're just not going to get to where they need to go. That's how the system works.
Yeah.
So with that being said, that moment, what you just talked about, absolutely 100% agree with. So this isn't a moment. It's just more of like a shift that I'm seeing in in the type of player that Michigan State is recruiting. If you look at the guys that are there and the guys that they have coming in, I think you're seeing a potential shift in philosophy in the way that Tom Izzo is going to be coaching.
I agree.
Not next year, but the year after, he will have 5 guys on his squad who can play point guard. 5 of them.
Yeah.
So what that means to me is, like, he is looking to play a little more up tempo. We're going to defend the heck out of people on the perimeter, and instead of, like, getting it to one point guard, we're just getting whoever has the ball. We're getting out and running.
Go for it.
And we're going to run one way or another.
God, you've nailed it too. And, like, I've also kind of got, like, wafts of that in the transfer portal because, he hasn't reached out to everyone, but, like, the guys he has reached out to, and these are just 2 names that exemplify that, like Terrence Shannon. Okay. Yeah. That's just, like you said, like a guard that just, get out and run. And also Jalen Bridges, like, just an athlete, athletes, which is just, hey, great. Awesome. That's fine. Like, I'm watching Houston and it's like this kind of reminds me of, like, those mid-2000s state teams. So it's almost like we're taking a step back to move 2 steps forward. That sounds like it came out of a McConaughey Lincoln commercial right there. I gotta say, but, like, there's something to that though, right? Like, it's just like we're back to, hey, here's one for the crowd. You ready for this one? We're getting dogs, baby. We're getting some Spartan dogs up in here. So it's dog hunting season. So but I think you're bang on with that. I do.
Yeah. And then there's two other things we talked about it. Max Christie, Jaden Akins.
Mm-hmm.
That's the future of the program.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, in my opinion, next year, come February, those are your 2 best players you have on the team.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a shift of, I don't know, power or whatever. At some point, even AJ Hoggard and, the rest of the guys are going to be good, but they're going to not take a back seat, But the other guys are going to get those two, Christie and Aiken's going to get so much better that they're going to see them start to take over games. And if you have your wings as like who can get out and run and score and defend, with a point guard that can break people down in the half court, I don't care who you're playing at center.
You're singing to me. You're singing to me. Yeah. God, that sounds like a great time. That just sounds like fun. That sounds like some fun Michigan State basketball right there. That's
now I'm all like I went through it this episode.
God,
ups and downs. This is beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, you know what though? We had ups this time, Graham, and that's all that matters. Did. For once, you join a show, and I'm not a Mopey Zoo line that you're just trying to drag to the finish line on a show that's like not even yours. That you're just come on as a very generous guest, and I normally would just have you on to kind of just drag my husk of a soul through 30 minutes. But this was, I had fun. I had fun, which was again change of speed for us. But yeah, so thanks a ton for joining me.
I have one question for you before we go.
I got one answer for you.
Who's your favorite Michigan State football coach not named Mel Tucker?
Like currently on the staff or of all time?
Currently on the staff.
Brandon Jordan has me feeling some type of way. Brandon Jordan has me feeling frisky on the inside. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just something new. It's something unique. Like you talk about like spicing things up somewhere. Like we've gone through the whole D'Antonio era of like just the same 10 faces for like the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
And now we get this young kid that just had 30 or 40 NFL defense or NFL all-stars basically on campus. And he's like really in good connections with a lot of high school kids. Like after seeing Georgia trench their way to a national title and just have animals on the defensive line, like, yeah, I'm going to have to go with the young spring chicken pass rush specialist coach, Brandon Jordan. That's going to have to be it for me. But God, there's Jay Johnson, Jay Johnson and Joey Hauser both in the same car deserve to run me over because I had some not nice things to say about Jay Johnson after his first.
Yeah, I remember you and I believe Will had some takes for Jay Johnson in year one.
Will's a little more healthy than I am, and I was unhinged. I'll just say it. I did not take the Rutgers loss well necessarily. Now I could use the fact that my kid was born just 3 days prior and I was only off of 40 minutes of sleep and I was delirious. I would do that if I was a man of excuses, but Graham, I'm not. Like I'm a stand-up guy here. So that was not a good moment for me. That was not a good moment for me. And Jay Johnson needs to punish me for that by throwing me down a flight of stairs at Spartan Stadium. So whenever he wants to do that, he probably doesn't even know who I am. Like I highly doubt he heard that.
Jay Johnson strikes me as a guy who's all over social media and
he was the Locked On Spartans, his team every single day. That's right.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be incredible if you found out like one of these like Izzo listen to your show every single day?
I would curl up into a ball and that'd be something else. That'd be cool, but I also kind of hope not. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm conflicted on that. I never really. Here's how sure I am that like that absolutely doesn't happen. Is that, like I've never thought about that for a second.
Well, it doesn't happen.
Second, yeah.
But can you imagine like you just get to know or like get an email and it's actually from Tom Izzo and you're like, and he just comes in with some flaming takes about. I would
read off his email on the show, which would just absolutely incinerate me. Like he would put me through a wood chipper, and then I would probably just take like the next week off of shows, just let things blow over, kind of maybe like do like a retreat, like the one Aaron Rodgers did, come back as a new person and like a lot more tame and calm and like more thought out about my takes. And then like we'll have a game like against Illinois this year, and then I'm just back to the old me. So that's how that would happen. We all know how this would happen. So that's that. But yeah, God, that's a great question. Did you have a favorite football coach or?
I really like Jay Johnson. I asked that because I knew you didn't like him.
I love him now.
I know you do now, but I knew you used to have some hot before we knew each other.
I was wrong. If you here, let me click on this one. Okay, personal take of the year graphic for football. That's by far the worst one I've had, and that's even worse than my Connor Hayward takes that I had. Like that.
Well, the Connor Hayward takes at the time were right.
I didn't want to say it, so I'm glad someone did. But yeah, again, thrilled to be Ron. Seems like a great kid too. So that's what I feel bad about. That's what I feel bad about. It's like, oh my god, this kid's and he's an incredible person. Like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, I actually ran into him at the MAC championship game. I took my son to it, and
nice.
He was there and just said hi for a second, but seemed like a really nice guy. Also, just a lot shorter than I expected. I mean, I'm 6'2", so I'm not like small, but like I was bigger than him.
Nice. Look at you.
Yeah, which I thought, I don't know. I just assumed he'd be a lot bigger, but that's that.
There we go.
He was super nice. They were watching Rocky, so.
Gotcha. Bada bing, bada boom. Saw Rocky in person once. His hair 10 times better looking in person. I'm just gonna say that right now. Like it has like a sheen to it. Like it's very, very worth the hype. His hair. So
handsome kid. Where have we gone? This is typical of mine and your podcast. Now we're talking about Rocky Lombardi's hair and how handsome he is.
Yeah. Hey, people tail off by the 45-minute mark. No way anyone's listening right now. Right? I mean, it can't be. Come on. Yeah. So, again, I asked, hey, are you fine for 25 minutes? So, and I think we're approaching the 25-minute mark right now. So thank you very much for that. On a serious note, thanks for hanging around for 45 minutes with me. That sounds like a horrible way to spend a night, but hey, thanks, man. Really do appreciate it.
Dude, I love coming on the show. I love listening to you. I appreciate it. And anytime any of your other like guests who are important and actually have knowledge about Michigan State can't come, you just let me know.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow then. Sounds like a plan, man. Cool. All right, until next time, hey, Graham, you're the best. And also, listeners, you guys are all the best. Thank you so much for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day here in the Locked On Podcast Network. See you next week. See you on Monday. Let's go. Go Green.